play it. Well, let's finish for all the clips. I'd like to open it for discussion. Anybody want to share a review of one of their favorite old school anime? Okay.
I think there's one that you guys will all know. Does anyone remember Robot Carnival?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we got one person behind me. We got two.
Yeah, I never. I think something like I didn't.
I think it's amazing still.
My favorite part of Robot Carnival was the where the robots fight, like in Japan, the European guy.
Why'd you call her?
That was totally hilarious. Anyone else? Let's see here. Any other titles someone else think of? What? Okay.
There's a show that came out in the 80s called Bubblegum Crescents that me and my brothers watched. It's really good. It's about these girls in like powered armored suits destroying robots and trying to be around Tokyo.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I just bought that in the dealer's room yesterday. That is no favorite of mine. I prefer the OVAs over the remake, Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. As I understand, that was, the character design was done by Kenichi Sonada, is his name. The guy who does Guns with Cats. And anyone else? Okay. Anyone reach here?
My Sonny Koku.
What?
My Sonny Koku.
My Sonny Koku, yes.
Classic.
And the, very fine, anime. It was awesome manga. One of the very few Rumiko Takahashi stories that has absolute closure. And, there's good sweet romance. And there's another one. Anyone else?
Gerald, there are a couple of the older kid ones.
Okay.
Anyone else seen Emperor Leo and or Unico?
Yeah, Unico is like the best ever.
Most people don't even realize that they saw anime as kids, but they have.
Unico. I think I've never seen that. Actually, I saw it. Where did I see it? I saw it somewhere on TV. And although it started out clearly as a kid stuff, I mean, with the deal with the girl was turned into, a little captain to a girl, and she got abducted by this demon guy. I mean, I even know I was in my early teens when I saw that. It really freaked me out. I mean, it's interesting. A lot of these, kids. It's almost like kids shows, but it's still getting pretty gritty at times. And Marine Boy. What?
Marine Boy.
Marine Boy. Yes, that is another one I saw in the. I saw that in the Philippines too. I just saw the dub. But yeah, it was a English dub. But yeah, that was definitely an old school, an old favorite, and we kind of made fun of it. But it was. But even there, it was pretty gritty. Sometimes a lot of innocent people died by the hands of a monster or something.
There was one that ADV did. It was the Devil Hunter Yoko.
Wasn't that the first one actually licensed
That's
in the U.S.?
the first one they ever licensed.
That was, yeah.
If I remember right, I heard that Japan, when they were going, really, you want to license this? Okay.
Yeah,
I think that was about how the conversation
they
went.
did a really good job on it. So, and now they reissued it on a lower price disc. So.
Yeah, I really like it, and they are reissuing these, back then when it was VHS.
It was all on VHS back in those days.
Yeah, mostly it was
bought it and loved it that
VHS,
way.
and even though there were a few exceptions, of course, yeah, this is back at the time when you had to make your choice of having subtitled or dubbed.
That's right.
And usually if you wanted subtitle, you had to put up more cash.
Yep, $29.99 versus $24.99.
Yes, at least. Sometimes it was $29.99 versus $34.99. And you only get usually got 2 episodes. I mean, even though they usually put, 4 on the one.
And it was every other month. It took forever.
Yes. But yeah, unfortunately, with the DVDs, you have a choice. But of course, I think another good implications of what made the true hallmark of Old School is when it was released on a format that's even deader than VHS, like Laserdisc. I mean, there have been a few titles like that. And one time, as I understand, I guess it was released on Laserdisc, and Heaven Will It Never Will Again is Macross 7. If you have seen it, I sympathize with you. If you have not, don't bother. It is a mockery to the franchise, in my humble opinion. And to paraphrase Red Dwarf, it is better to love and lost to watch Macross 7 the second time. Because I think it's better to watch Macross 7 the second time. Anyone else?
Do I have a question for you?
Yes.
What's the most horrible Old School you saw in which you hadn't?
I would definitely say it was Macross 7.
Okay.
Because, I mean, growing up, I watched Star Blazers, and even though, I didn't appreciate it for what it was back then, and then I watched the subtitle Yamato, right? And I just, I absolutely love it. I mean, sometimes with these Old School, you watch this under the subtitle, and you can't go back after you watch that. But still, you would appreciate it for the time. Same deal with Robotech. I mean, I own this, as one of those guys who brings the name Carl Maycap now, but still now. But I still appreciate what they did. I think maybe wish they didn't intertwine these stories. But still, I mean, back then, you just love it even more because when you're watching subtitled, again, it is a combination of both refreshingness, refreshingness, but also nostalgia. You just love it. And anyone else? Yeah. I'm gonna reach here.
Yeah, one of my favorite old time was Outlaw Star. Kid.
Outlaw Star. Okay.
That's
It'll probably definitely be a later Old School because the problem is as soon as Old School, it gets pretty relative. I mean, a lot of times if I just, if I saw if it was released sometime within the last century or just, sometimes I don't want to be within the 2000s. I don't want to be Old School. If it was 80s, honestly, it was Old School. 60s, of course it was Old School. But yeah, Outlaw Star, sometimes the bottom line, the bottom line for Old School is if it has not been released on VHS. If it was only released on DVD, it's not Old School. But eventually, that's going to change. Yeah, if it was Outlaw Star was on VHS or Gundam Wing was on VHS, so I guess, okay, they're Old School.
Cowboy Bebop was released.
What?
Cowboy Bebop.
Yes, Cowboy Bebop, Ava.
Oh, that's pushing it.
Yeah, that is.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other comments?
0079.
Yeah. One.
0079, 0083.
Yeah. The old Gundam. Oops. Yeah. In fact, of course, the deal is because I remember, even though it was maybe like the third incarnation, a third universe spin-off. It was mainly Gundam Wing that really kick-started the Gundam franchise here in the United States. And I guess it was interesting because the first they showed Gundam Wing, and then they showed the original Gundam, Gundam, which is which had a similar storyline, similar environment, and unfortunately that was cut short due to actually the terrorist attacks. And then they showed G-Fighter Gundam, which is, some people hate it. I just loved it. It was just totally off base. It was just totally new, just totally weird. And as someone's pointed out, the Rain and Domon are probably the more credible couples because they started the old. Well, see, a couple minutes. Anyone make a last minute comment?
I got a question for you. What is the Old School you have not seen but want to see?
The Old School I have not seen, but I have not wanted to see. Well,
That you have not
you
seen but
just
you
saw a
want to see.
couple of them there, because I found only 3 episodes of Dirty Pair online. I want to see that.
Okay.
I've seen, I want to see King Arthur in its entirely. It's like and I want to see maybe the extent that it's Sally. But in final deal, as I said before, you know, as much as we love today's big anime, remember, paraphrase as they do, the only reason these anime are so great is because they're standing on the shoulders of giants. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.